That's just hearsay. That's just gossip, and this is Well, you see, you know what, lads? If we did a skydive, it's all over, because this is the second skydive. We're going for the jump this time.
We're going for
it. We're in the air now. We're actually in the air. Just
okay, who's got
tell the guests every week as they come on the green room. I say, look, it's just like skydiving. Once you jump, you're gone. So we have jumped. Now we're in the air.
And I'm free. Blood.
Free falling. Ladies and gentlemen, very welcome to the green room. And my guests tonight are the
plan.
The plan. And it's Paul and Brendan. What's the plan, lads?
Aha.
Second time round. Paul McCann, Brendan Scott. Many guises. Only two guys, but many guises. But this is their latest. Is it an incarnation, you call it?
I suppose so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, an incarnation. But this is really good stuff.
Thanks very much.
But it's all been good stuff. You know,
Smooth,
no, it has,
nice.
as it's gone along.
Yeah.
Were you moving statues?
Yes, so were
With
you.
me, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That was
that's
great
a few
too.
years ago.
Is it really? Oh,
Yeah,
tell me
it's
quietly.
a long time. I can't remember how long it is. It's a long time
10
ago.
years. Is it 10?
I'd say it's over 10 years.
It's definitely more. 13, I'd say. Is it?
Funny, I was in Tony's yesterday, and he had a picture of the old shed up where we recorded in there.
Josie's Garage.
Josie's Garage.
Josie's Garage.
Yeah.
That was another band.
No, that was the album.
Oh yeah.
And the name of the garage where it was recorded.
Yeah.
It's Aunt Josie. Yeah. Now, we're all getting old, Paul.
Don McLean would say long time ago.
What age are you, Paul?
Well, I was 13 years ago, so I was 14 then.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. You were great, weren't you?
Simple
14.
as.
14.
Simple as 14. I was a prodigy. That was a kind of religion in them days. But lads, tell us, what's the plan?
Well, the plan is that we've made an EP called Dyad, and we're trying to get out and do some shows and promote it, and just play. Right,
so I do this every week. Paul, I did this with you last week. But kick us off. Do you want to do a song now? Just to get us into the.
Sure. Which one?
We'll do Jokes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the plan. This is brilliant stuff. Now we'll tell you more about the CD and how you can get it, where you can see the lads. And I hope you're going to have a full band.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Oh, you're all right then. Ladies and gentlemen, the plan.
We don't even need to say our drummer's name because.
You have to say his name.
Arnie McGovern.
Arnie McGovern! Let's hit it, lads.
Go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Lying here alone all over again. Haven't felt like this since I don't know when. If you wanna stay, I can tell it again. Who knows how it will be this time? When you're like this, I lose my mind. Why must you always be so unkind? But I don't know. Feeling like this when I'm solo. I wanna get back, but I can't go. The joke's on me again. It's a mess and I don't know where to start. When you talk like that, you break my heart. I like you more when we're apart. Is it time we had another fight? You think I'm wrong, I know I'm right. The nighttime never seems so bright. But I don't know. Feeling like this when I'm solo. I wanna get back, but I can't go. The joke's on me again. But I don't know. Feeling like this when I'm solo. I wanna get back, but I can't go. The joke's on me again. but I don't know. Feeling like this when I'm solo. I wanna get back, but I can't go. The joke's on me again, but I don't know. Feeling like this when I'm solo. I wanna get back, but I can't go. The joke's on me again, but I don't know. Feeling like this when I'm solo. I wanna get back, but I can't go. The joke's on me again. Lying here all alone, it's all over.
Brilliant. If there's any justice in the world, that's another song. If there's any justice in the world, that should be a hit single.
It's catchy.
But you know, the way it's gone now, it's too good for its own good.
There's a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of bands that we like and they can't sell 2 records.
No.
You know,
No.
and like probably the people that we like the most probably,
Yeah.
you know, don't
Don't
sell
sell that,
anything.
no.
So you have to work to find the good people, you know.
Yeah.
Ireland isn't really a good country for selling pop music.
No.
No.
But it's anywhere now. Is it? You know, is this?
You know, you probably find areas maybe in America or somewhere that's so big, you know, but really, I mean, there's nowhere for it now. I mean, you know, like, and even like when you call it pop music, which is what it is, I mean, in the classic tradition of, you know, as in Squeeze's pop music and whoever's pop music. If you say pop music, people think, oh, Rihanna or something. And that's not. But you know, and
You're not allowed to say that in here. You're not.
yeah, sorry, bleep that out, bleep
Right,
that
bleep
out.
that out
But you
Just
know,
don't mention
that's the way it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, and whereas I mean, classic pop music in terms of, you know, melody, harmony, and guitar has gone out of fashion and has been out of fashion for a long, long time.
Will it come back round? Is there a chance?
I mean, there's always a chance. I mean, you know, things are cyclical, so
Yeah.
it might come round again at some point. But I mean, you know, like even like probably the 2 best bands of the '70s, Badfinger and Big Star, couldn't sell 2 records
No.
between them. You know, and they were great.
Fantastic, yeah.
You know, and what do? You know.
And
You know, so you just have to play. This is a bit depressing, isn't it?
No, but it's the truth. It's out there for discussion because it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Guitar music isn't selling.
No,
No,
it's all
Guitar
machines.
bands are on the way out, Mr. Epstein.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. I mean, you know, and there's loads of great acts playing, you know, pop music in Dublin and different places, and you know, they can't sell anything really.
But I see young people now coming back. Sales of guitars are up. Drums. I know we're always joking about it on here, about drummers and stuff like that.
yeah.
But real drums are coming back.
Yeah.
And I know it was the novelty of the 2-piece, the 3-piece, and everything else. But now people want entertainment. Like I was at the, of course, you recognise the boys from the Johnny Cash tribute act. But fantastic. People playing together. You know, the only machine was the human.
Yeah, well, you can't beat that. You know, like people playing together, and I mean, at some points during the show, we have 6 or 7 voices singing.
Yeah.
You know, you can't beat that.
The
you know.
power is in
But
it.
like obviously the plan further down the line is to get rid of Arnie and get a drum machine.
I'll get a real drum machine. I'm not available. Oh, geez. I know, Arnie, you're staying. Don't worry. You're big enough and you're bold enough to take these 2 boys on anyway. You know. But lads, what do you listen to there? How was that song structured? Because I was watching the 2 of you playing. I could hear Ventura Highway. I could hear the Beatles. I could hear the Beach Boys. I could hear everything coming in there. How does it? Do you sit together and go, right? Paul says, "I have the melody." Brendan, you say, "I have the words. Let's do this." How does it come together? Because that's a complete song there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all different ways. I mean,
Every song kind of comes about. Brendan could hand me something finished and we'd record it like that. I could hand Brendan something finished, we'd record it like that. Sometimes we sit down together, Brendan, like that last song, Brendan give me a song with some chords, and generally when he gives me something like that, I like to write really unusual chords around it.
because I can only play A, D, and E, so he'll make it like an A 7th minor diminished something or other. And you know, so it makes life more interesting.
Of course, I knew that. I knew that, of course I did.
Yeah, and then generally if I hand a song that I've written to Brendan will write 800 harmonies over it. And
Brendan, you're a big harmony man, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's your thing.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything better than voices and harmony.
You know, that's what I love actually about you know, hearing other music is hearing the voices in harmony. That's what I always listen out for.
And who do you listen to?
Well, it's probably
No, seriously, who are you on in the car today?
I had the Idle Race, which was Jeff Lynne's
Yeah.
first band. I had them on. I don't really like them terribly much. I was just trying to give it a go, but it's not doing it for me.
It wasn't working.
Well, there's a couple of good songs. But
Paul, what were you listening to?
Sondra Lerche's new album.
That's good.
That's but you see, you go modern way, do you? You go the other way, or you go.
Anything, really and truly. It's.
I always sort of think Paul's brother Mark has incredible taste. So Paul often, between the two of them, they'll find stuff that, you know, that is quite off the beaten track in that way.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm maybe traditional in some other ways in what I listen to, but it seems to work well. You know, I mean.
Well, it does work well because the CD is. I have the CD in the car and it's fantastic. And we get the, no disrespect to anybody, get loads of CDs. But that one I've played and played and played.
Yeah.
And played it for people.
Yeah, well, that's good.
I said this is, no, seriously, because it's
good to hear
up
that.
there.
Well, a lot of work went into it, you know.
Tell us about it. Where was it recorded?
Oh God, it was recorded all over.
And come here, do you rehearse and have the song complete? Or do you have the bones of the song and then go in and say, right, we'll build it from here?
Yeah, well, in parts, I mean, we recorded the drums with a guy called Frank McGing in, where was that? In Westmeath somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember, out in the middle of the countryside.
Yeah.
And we had this guy, Duncan Maitland, who used to be in Picture House.
Why did you,
and
I'm just curious now, why did you go to Westmeath to record the drums? Was it a certain sound you were looking for?
Yeah, well, Duncan was the producer and he had recorded his drums with this guy on his album, and he said, look, this guy's really good, he knows, he's got good ears, he's got good gear, and you know, that'll work well.
Nick Lowe and Dave Edmonds say, if you can get the drum sound right, you
Yeah.
don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, well, everything builds from the drums. I mean,
Hold on. There. Hold on.
unprofessional.
Do you know who it is?
Elton.
I know, I told you I'd give you a mention now in a minute. Yeah. Yes, the boys, yes, you can book them, of course you can. We'll put it up in a few moments. Yes. Thank you. It was just an absolute pleasure. Lenny Kravitz.
Again.
Such a nuisance, isn't
He's
he?
such a nuisance. I don't know what the story is with him. But anyway, sorry lads, sorry about that. That was the control room actually, who I'm switching off now. Ina, you can leave us alone now.
No.
The drum sound.
Drums.
If you get a big drum sound.
Yeah, it goes from there. I mean, the difference, people who don't know about music think that the important thing is the singer or the lead guitar player. But it's not, it's the drummer. But it is. But it is.
At last, a convert. At last. Oh.
No, I'm a great believer in that. If you have a bad drummer, you have a bad band.
Yes.
Simple
well,
as that.
no, seriously, it has been.
You know,
It's been
you know,
said over
but
the years,
it is, you know, because there's always a feeling. I've seen bands. We've both seen bands. We've all seen bands that might have a dodgy drummer, and you just think any minute now it might fall apart.
Yeah.
You can get away with having a dodgy bass player. Yeah. You can get away with having a dodgy
And we
rhythm
do.
guitar player, and we do. I've been getting away with it for years now at this stage. But if you have a dodgy drummer, it just feels like it might fall apart at any time.
Well, it's an engine, isn't it? It's like a car.
Yeah, you need to have someone in there who knows what they're doing, if you want to be good.
Yeah. And do you give Arnie hell?
No, no. Have you seen him?
Of course, I know him years. But did you say? Do you do a McCartney on it?
Oh no, well, no. I mean, we both sort of have ideas of what to do.
Yeah, a lot of the time, I kind of find with Arnie, you explain to Arnie what kind of thing you're looking for, and Arnie kind of look at you as if he's digesting something, and 100% of the time he'll return it just on the button.
It's called drummer's bluff.
Yeah,
very possibly, but
he's great at it.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
very good
No,
at
he
it.
is,
You know,
he is,
and he's a
yeah.
lovely swing.
Yeah.
You know, there's as Keith Richards says, there's the rock and the roll.
Yeah, yeah.
But the roll is more important.
Yeah.
And Arnie has the roll, I think. And,
definitely, without a doubt,
you know, and he sits in the pocket. I mean, when we recorded those drums, he was under tremendous pressure because arrangements were being put together on the fly those couple of days, and you know, he rose to the occasion. I mean, he really did a really good job under a lot of pressure, you know, because the clock was ticking, you know. Was there a click? I can't remember.
I think so.
There was a click. So, what was it Ringo says? I am the click.
I am the click. Don't need no click there.
Yeah, so, so that we did that there, and then the drums were done there, and then we went to Duncan Maitland's house in Dublin, recorded vocals, acoustic guitar, bass there, and then we went down to Paul's house and recorded electric guitars at Paul's, because he's out in the country and it's kind of quiet. You can crank it up and go for it, because Duncan lives in an estate, and then it was mixed then at the original place back in Frank McGing's in Westmeath. So we kind of went around a few different places. So
And it did gel together.
It did. I mean, the Duncan and Frank who mixed it did a great job.
Which again is another, again, like you said, people that don't know the mixing, the recording.
Yeah, well, I mean, the mixing. I mean, one of the tracks, "Twisted Fate." I mean, how many tracks were on that? It was something like 80-something tracks or something. It was ridiculous.
Again, that's a prime example of a song, a very simple rock song that I handed Brendan that just got a vocal. And literally, I remember going to. I went and recorded the guitars with Duncan, or Duncan came down and recorded them in ours. And then Brendan went up and done a backing vocal session up in Duncan's the week after, and then I went up the following week to do my vocal bits. And it had changed from like a 12-track song into a 76-track song. It was just
that's a perfect example of how we worked. The Paul had written that song top to bottom down. It was there. He says, "Here it is," and I remember him saying, we practiced it. I remember in your garage, and he said, and I was kind of half thinking maybe a vocal thing for here. Have a think about it.
Do you know if you give someone an inch to take a mile?
20 miles. And I remember doing it, and myself and Duncan are both Beach Boy fans. We're kind of egging each other on and going, "Can we think of another one? Can we think of another one?" And I remember coming home, ringing Paul, saying, "We're after Beach Boy-ifying this song, But it works, like it's this big rock song, and then in the middle it turns into Baroque Beach Boys, which is no bad thing.
You should have been in 10cc, shouldn't you? 2 years. In the early days.
Yeah, okay, I'll take that.
No, not take that. 10cc.
No, take that.
They shouldn't have been take that.
No.
Paul, do you go? Hold on a minute now. I want to try something here. Do you come in with the production values as well?
Yeah, a lot really with the stuff I would write myself. I kind of have I have it in my head how I want it to sound.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, and I'm sure Brendan would be the same with a lot. Like Brendan, there's a song we were working on last week, and Brendan was kind of been very, he was just playing to me an acoustic guitar, but he was kind of very certain about the sound the drum's going to have, and I think like.
It's like a Father Ted moment. Play the note.
Yeah.
Not that one, the one you played before.
Like a train in the night.
Not that one, the other one.
But no, I think we all have an idea how we want it to sound, or how we think it should sound, and that's, I mean, again, a lot of the stuff with Twisted Fate, like Duncan took that and kind of went in a slightly different direction with it. He kind of added in this Jackson 5, I Want You Back kind of thing, just kind of going like.
Can we hear a bit of it? Can you do a bit of it?
We can, but without the Jackson 5.
Oh yeah, but don't worry, I'll get the Jackson 5. Don't worry.
But that's a prime example of a song that we kind of wrote, and it was kind of it was just kind of all worked around that riff, and
let's hear it. Come on, let's hear it. I have to hear this.
Duncan
now.
added the Jackson 5 element to it, which is great.
Which is just
this would be the non-Jackson 5 version.
And
the non-Beach Boy version, because we need about 30 people to sing those parts.
We'll get it.
We should have brought you in. Do you have a shaker or something?
In your head. No, it's just the way I'm sitting. In your head. Right, come on, let's hear a bit of this.
It's been so long since I've had to lie. No, every day keeps passing by. I can't believe it's almost time. I'm waiting for the sign. You question me each and every day, and disregard each word I say. I'm now an April's fool in me, with no consequence. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I God supposed to do?
I have to put your mind at ease.
Before my heart bleeds.
Now I'm stomping on your feet. Rhythm of your strong heartbeat. It's time to work with your defeat. Wait for the sign.
Oh, oh, oh. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I know I'll have to wait my turn. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I know I guess I'll never learn. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I know I'll have to wait my turn. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I know I guess I'll never learn. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I know I'll have to wait my turn. It's just a case of twisted fate, and though I know I guess I'll never learn.
Love it. Could sit all night.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a great
Thanks,
one.
Paul.
No, that's I can't wait to hear that blasting that again. Turn it up.
I mean, there's like
Driving music, that's what that is.
20 tambourines and shakers.
Yeah, that's-
great percussion on that track.
Brilliant.
That Duncan did a lot of that.
Duncan Spector.
Duncan, yeah. And then we got in Nelson Bragg from the Brian Wilson band, who played percussion on one of the songs.
Yeah,
as
hold
well.
on. Are you hearing this? Go that again. Do that again.
We got Nelson Bragg from the Brian Wilson band, who had just finished.
Brian Wilson, he's not a cattle dealer from Belturbet.
I think
He
there
is
is
the
one.
Beach Boys.
Yeah, and
How did that happen?
They had just come off a Beach Boy tour. The Beach Boys did a 50th anniversary tour with the original members that are still alive. It was the first time they played together in years. And Nelson's in the band. We got to know Nelson. Well, I'm a big.
I know this story. Tell us. This is incredible. Go on, tell this story.
Well.
Is this a story in the lift?
Oh, yeah, that's a good story.
Tell that story. That's-
We knew Nelson because I'm a big Beach Boy fan. I remember meeting him at a Brian Wilson gig in Dublin about 9 years ago, 2005, and just bumped into him close to Vicar Street and chatted to him and got to know him. And then he's big friends with Pugwash, who we know as well. And
Thomas Walsh.
Yeah,
We've been
and
watching tonight.
so we got to know Nelson a bit better then. Then Nelson was looking to play a gig in Ireland, so we sorted out a gig for him down in Chapter 1 with his partner then, Annie Chelsea. They stayed in Paul's house. So he kind of owed us a favour then, you see. So
The Mafia.
yeah.
Beach Boy stays in your house. What? Hello?
Yeah, Grammy winner.
We brought out the good china for.
And so when he came over then with the Beach Boy tour, he said, Brendan, if you need anything that you want to record, because he's very good friends with our producer Duncan as well. Duncan was actually playing with Nelson on that tour in Ireland that he did. So he said, if you have anything you want to record, let me know. So I said, well, we have a couple of things. And so he was good enough to come in for an afternoon and bash out a few things that day.
That is
So
incredible.
he sang on one song and he played percussion on another.
So you've got a Beach Boy on the CD.
Yeah, as near as.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was funny because the last gig he'd done was like in Wembley or something, and then 2 days later he was recording with us. So it's kind of funny.
But that's real rock and roll, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
that's real. That's very,
he was
very
great.
real.
He was very enthusiastic about it. You know, he's a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And he's a great ear as well. I mean, you have to be if you're going to be playing with Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson, yeah.
So he was suggesting stuff as well, and it was good. It was a good day.
What are your heroes, Paul? You've so many though, haven't you?
I do. Most of them are dead.
That's
but,
just rock and roll.
rock and roll. Yeah. Again, yeah. There's I mean, there's too many to mention, but we'll be here all day.
Yeah, I know a lot of Brendan's 60s. What's your favourite Beach Boys? Pastiche is the wrong word. Copy. What's the most sounding Beach Boys song you've ever heard?
That wasn't the Beach Boys.
Yes.
Well, you could say it back in the USSR, couldn't you?
What about Roy Wood?
Oh yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah. There's been a lot of people that come out with a song every now and again that'll be pure Brian Wilson.
Yeah.
But they can't sustain it. I don't think a lot of the time over an album in the way that he could. You know, there's not many like him. You know.
Anyway, we could talk all night. What about the plan? Is the plan on the road?
Well, we're looking to get some.
It's going to be a big band. It's going to be just small.
I'd say
brass.
Hopefully
no
both.
brass anyway.
Hopefully, I mean, we're hoping to just kick off. I mean, we've done chapter 1. Was that 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago?
Are you back there soon? Are you back there before Christmas?
There's no plans at the moment, but
consider it done already. Joe Keenan, get on to these guys.
It'd be nice to bring in the full band in there, squeeze us in somewhere. You know, that'd be good.
Of course, you could.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, again, it's the stuff we have. We can do a 2-piece acoustic, or we can do it. I mean, the more people in the band, obviously, the more vocals we have. So then it's easier to basically get what we have on record played.
Yeah.
And take it on the road and hit the Dublin scene and
exactly. Yeah. Get it out there and start working on more stuff.
Is it as hard as it always has been to get into that scene, that Dublin thing?
Yeah, it's probably harder. I think the scene has changed so much since. Like, I mean, you were talking earlier about living in Dublin. I moved to Dublin. How many years ago was that? 12, 13 years ago, with a band, Dutch Uncle, and we basically tried playing everywhere and tried doing everything and sent CDs everywhere we could. And that was kind of the way things were done. And things aren't really the same anymore. It's kind of like the SoundCloud, YouTube, Reverb Nation, like all these things have changed the machine dramatically, and it's not a case of just getting.
It's the YouTube generation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
balcony TV.
You can be lucky enough. You can put You can put something up on YouTube, and if you're lucky enough, you can get like 1 million hits overnight if it's good enough. I mean, it's just again.
Is that enough? Can you take it on the road on that?
Probably not. I mean, there's no financial returns, I suppose, in 1 million hits, but.
Well, that's completely gone, isn't it? The money aspect of it coming back.
Yeah. Like, I mean, even you see the big bands at the moment are, like, Tom York is releasing his album. You see that on Monday, released his album through BitTorrent. Like, an awful lot of these people now are just releasing their album and making their money on tours.
As an advertising medium, yeah. T-shirts and gigs, yeah.
Yeah, because you notice all the bands, they just don't stop touring. Seems there's people coming every year. Whereas there would have been a gap of a couple of years between people arriving, but now they're here all the time. Yeah. You know, because they just can't sell anything, which is terrible. You know, like it's not right because they haven't got the resources to make the music that they should be given the time to make.
Yeah,
and they're not getting it now. You know. That said, a lot of home recording stuff now. You can make a good sounding album in your bedroom you know. So there's that side of it as well. But you don't have the machine behind you. You know, the promotion.
You don't. The machine is the whole thing.
Yeah. So that's that's hard.
And it's brainwashing a lot of it, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
They're telling you what you should be like.
Yeah.
And should be listening.
And how you should dress and that. And we said it on here loads and loads of times. If you put on MTV, there's not one music video.
Yeah.
They don't play music anymore.
It's like Super
and haven't
16 shows and stuff
but
like
that's good.
Christ, I'm not even allowed to say. But anyway, lads, the best of luck. Will you play us out one more song?
Yeah.
Because we love it and it's been fantastic. And you have the Facebook stuff.
Yeah.
You have your own little machine going into production as well.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's interested in getting the CD, they can contact us through Facebook.
Yeah.
And then we'll be out playing as well, and wherever we play, we'll have a CD for sale. So if
Fantastic.
anyone wants to get it there as well.
Well, the very, very best of luck.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Cheers, Paul.
I think this is really, really, really good. This is.
Appreciate it.
There's a good feel about this one. There's always a good feel, but this is really, really. This is played again, Sam.
Good man. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Plan joining me. Fantastic. Always a pleasure to have the boys on. It's great to have friends like this. This is what music's all about, the family. Lads, thanks a million.
Thank you, Paul. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now's the time you were here, and I'm not gonna play your games anymore, no matter what you say. Tears can fall from your large and mournful eyes, but I'm going away to escape from your lies. Am I right, am I wrong? Well, I really don't know, but it's time I started swimming against the flow. Will I sink, will I swim without you by my side? Future is unknown, but it's time to decide. All these thoughts going round my head, trying to think of all the things you said. I can't remember, but I'll try to be your old friend in the land of the free. Who are you? Who is I? Well, it's hard to believe that I fell for it all, and you know that I grieve. But it's true what they say, time can heal the scars. Women are from Venus and men are from Mars. By the way, did you know that I'm leaving this town? When I'm gone, you won't ever see me around. So goodbye, don't you cry, it's time to make a new start. We build our lives together, now let's tear them apart. All these thoughts going round my head, trying to think of all the things you said. I can't remember, but I'll try to be your old friend in the land of the free. La la la, ooh 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 la la la. Now's the time you were here, and I'm not gonna play your games anymore, no matter what you say. Tears can fall from your large and mournful eyes, but I'm going away to escape from your lies. Am I right, am I wrong? Well, I really don't know, but it's time I started swimming against the flow. Will I sink, will I swim without you by my side? Future is unknown, but it's time to decide. All these thoughts going round my head, trying to think of all the things you said. I can't remember, but I'll try to be your old friend in the land of the free. La la la, ooh 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 la la la.
Brilliant, 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 brilliant. The Plan there. But before you go, you better say hello to the ladies, especially the babies.
Babies, hello.
Because in years to come, I'll tell you a very good story off camera now in a moment. Right, but lads, say good evening to your...
Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
Good evening, all ladies.
Hey, ladies and babies. The Plan, ladies and gentlemen,
babies.
fantastic stuff there, and we'll definitely be having them back on again. Right, we're going to play a video now of the Eskies. Right after this, we've got Oscar Wilde.
If I should hang my helpless soul on thee,
Lord Jesus, don't save me.
they don't stay, support, or comfort me.
I ain't gonna hurt no more.
If I should fall down on my knees,
Lord Jesus, don't save me.
if I should beg, oh Jesus, please.
I ain't gonna hurt no more.
Lord, leave me alone if I'm not strong enough to do it on my own. Lord, leave me be, leave me be. If on thee I cast my care,
Lord Jesus, don't save me.
well, kindly disregard my prayer.
I ain't gonna hurt no more.
Now I should sink or faint or fall,
Lord Jesus, don't save me.
well, kindly disregard my call.
I ain't gonna hurt no more.
Lord, leave me alone if I'm not strong enough to do it on my own. Lord, leave me be, leave me be. I need not love I don't deserve.
Lord Jesus, don't save me.
Well, I am not yours to try preserve.
Ain't gonna hurt no more.
Now I should die a sinner's death. I'll leave alone my final breath. I ain't gonna hurt no more. Lord, leave me alone if I'm not strong enough to do it on my own. Lord, leave me be.
The Eskies there. What a brilliant video. What a good feel-good video that was. And many thanks to the lads, the plan there. I said it before, if there's any justice in the world, get out there and see them. Let's get this thing back going again, because it's great stuff, great harmonies, and songs you'll be singing in your head all night. Right, and the Eskies there, fantastic stuff. But now from one extreme to the other, like I said just before we played the Eskies there, I'm being joined by Oscar Wilde. AKA Patrick Walsh. You're very welcome.
Good, thanks for having me.
It's great to see you here, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Paul.
You're a familiar face now these
I
days.
suppose so, yeah. Second time at this stage. In this studio
Second time, but
anyway.
you're still renowned for lunch or dinner with Oscar Wilde on Come Dine With Me.
That's right, yeah. We did that a couple of years ago, the Cavan.
Now, before we get into the Oscar Wilde thing, Patrick, just what was that like? What was the selection process like? How did you come to be on Come Dine With Me?
Actually, it was my sister suggested I go on it. She lives down in Selbridge, and she suggested, because of a kind of slightly eccentric house, like just from your music show there, I'm a bit of a Beatle nut.
Yeah.
And I have a sign outside Sergeant Pepper Way.
Brilliant.
That's what I called the house. But so that's how we got on. I didn't know any of the contestants, although I believe Colette McGowan would be quite well known in Cavan. Then Pauline Farrelly, of course.
Yes.
Another fantastic lady, gorgeous now, not a bad bone in her body.
Not at all.
Then Tanya, who was very arty, very interesting girl, and Tony, who I called my little brother.
Yeah.
And we all got on pretty well. Although the girls, there was a bit of bitching going on, which seems to happen in.
But it's a very it's like we saw it as very short, but that goes on, doesn't it?
Certainly does. We started filming on the Sunday for about 2 hours. Then
Are you told what to do? Are you told look this way, look that way, beef it up a bit?
Yes and no. I would have been a lot more familiar to camera than the others, because I trained the Gaiety School of Acting, so that was certainly a big advantage to me. I had done some live TV before, various chat shows, so I would have had that advantage. So I just used it like I was acting, basically, although I was myself. But, you know, I just talked away, let it flow, whatever way the conversations went. if they didn't particularly like something or they'd want to cut something and they may ask to film something again, then you went with that.
But could that be during the dinner?
Yeah.
Because we've all seen that. Everybody knows the program. Everybody knows Come Dine With Me, and you think to yourself, but it's it's something going on there.
Yeah, certainly it can be orchestrated all right. Not so much with me. They let me go. They were very good to me. Let it flow, particularly on my evening, which was the third evening, the Wednesday. Dinner with Oscar Wilde. That's on YouTube anyway.
Yeah.
Just all you have to go is YouTube.
Dinner with Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, YouTube, Come Dine With Me, Oscar
Yeah.
Wilde, and it'll come up. And that went on. God, we were filming till nearly 3 a.m. that night. It was a long, long haul because I had
Was
started.
the wine flowing?
Myself and Tony would have drank more wine. Colette didn't drink, Pauline didn't
Yeah.
drink. Tanya had a couple of glasses over the whole evening, but Tony and myself, we started at
It's a
9
big crew.
a.m.
Was it a big crew in the house with you? And
Yeah, there would be cameras, lighting, producers, production assistant, director, obviously, as well. So there would have been.
Yeah. See, nobody sees that what goes on behind the
Yeah.
thing. There's a
Yeah.
big crowd, and you have to try and be yourself
Exactly, yeah.
while all that's going on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And yeah, you'd have your few glasses of wine, you cook away or you do your bit anyway. I was kind of half bullshitting a bit,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, yeah.
in an okay, humoursome way.
That's it, yeah. That was
you know.
brilliant. It
I
came
wouldn't
across.
be a great cook, but I came out of
Yeah.
it okay.
It's-
You know.
And when you got the call, so did you audition?
Kind of, yeah, they did. They came up and they filmed all right before that. And I believe they had filmed various people around Cavan and Monaghan. That's what I was told afterwards. So, yeah, I would have auditioned. And then it was sent into TV3 because it was originally it went out on TV3 first of all. And then they came back and they said, yeah, we want to use you for it. Now, I was the oldest contestant on the show. That didn't bother me because I'm young at heart
Yes,
anyway.
of course, yeah.
In fact, I refused to grow up sometimes. But so that was me. So I was quite content with that. It's been shown 9 times now
I know, it's always on.
between Channel 4 and More
E4,
and-
More 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been shown a lot because it went down quite well. The Cavan Monaghan
Yeah.
one of the Irish ones. They
Went down
said
well
was
in
the
England.
best. Yeah, it
Really
did.
well.
Yeah, I have a couple of sisters live over there, one in London and one in Wales, and they saw it and they loved it now.
Well, you better say hello to them. What's their name?
Yeah, Myra and Fiona.
Say hello in there.
Hi, Myra. Hi, Fiona.
Myra and Fiona.
Yeah.
You'd be proud of this man. We're coming round to Oscar Wilde. Don't
Okay.
worry, I haven't abandoned you. Just because I told people you were coming on, and they said, "Oh, ask him this,
Okay.
ask him that." I said,
Right.
"He's talking about Oscar Wilde."
Oh, ask me anything. If I can't answer, I'll give you a politician's answer.
Give me a politician's wages, it'd be more
Yeah.
like it. But that's just incredibly fascinating. And then they said, but when it's shown, when you sign a contract, obviously you got some sort of
Yes,
payment.
we did, yeah.
But did you sign a contract saying this could be used anywhere in the world, but that's your lot?
Well, you just signed the contract
Yeah.
and they have you really.
Yeah, yeah. So they can show it absolutely anywhere.
Yeah, they can, yeah.
And do.
You're in their hands, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's great. It was fantastic, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a huge show for them, and I certainly tried to use it to my advantage, and it has worked.
Yeah.
I just wanted some exposure for what I do for a living. I used to be a mortgage broker. That business went bust, as everybody knows. So I've had to completely reinvent myself again.
And you have.
And I've written a book. The book about Oscar Wilde, I've also written his life story, the quote book, and I've performed it. And I was in Ashford Castle now last summer for the American tourists, which would be Ireland's best castle hotel.
Yeah.
Niall Rochford commissioned me down there. Fabulous venue, and Oscar Wilde spent some time as a teenager there. And I suppose he was like really the Elvis Presley to literature.
Of course, and is.
Yeah.
And is today. Like, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Like the Beatles, John Lennon now on the Sgt. Pepper album, Oscar Wilde is right beside John Lennon because he would have been a big hero to John Lennon. U2 made a song about him, Salome. Al Pacino was just on BBC talking about
New film,
Oscar
Salome.
Wilde. He's doing Salome on stage. It's the first time for Al Pacino to be back on stage in 30 years. But he didn't realise at first who was this writer. And he was describing the way he minces the words together, and he was brilliant and whatever. And he says he's fallen in love with Oscar Wilde. And then the Rolling Stones made a movie about him.
Yeah.
And I heard your previous guest talking about Keith Richards, and I
Yes.
saw the poster when I came in of Keith Richards. and the Rolling Stones drug bust, Keith Richards said to Jagger, we'll go in Wildian, and we'll go in with the flower, because he was Ireland's first greatest fashion icon.
Flamboyant.
Yeah, the world's really. And I'm doing a gig now in Ballyshannon in the Abbey Centre up there on the end of November, and also I've a part for Oscar Wilde's wife is going to play in it as well, because a lot of people ask, well, what happened to his wife?
Yes, yeah.
Now that's going to be a gala Victorian, even where people are encouraged to come dressed in Victorian dress, similar to the way my guests on Come Dine With Me. And we've got Noel Cunningham, who I think is Ireland's first real, probably Ireland's greatest dressed man in my opinion, anyway, on TV3.
Very smart, yeah.
Yeah, he is extremely smart and dandy. And he's very kindly given up his time, and he says he'll introduce me beforehand.
Fabulous. Oh, yeah.
And he is, as I said, a great fashion icon, I think. So all that helps.
But Oscar Wilde, as you know, from pictures and stuff like that, he was the peacock.
Yeah, absolutely. He even said to George Bernard Shaw and William Butler Yeats, look, when you go into an English household or a dinner party and you're Irish, you got to make a statement. And in his case, he said, make a statement with your clothes. So, of course, Oscar was way over the top with his knee breeches and his cane or whatever. Shaw, of course, with the +4s.
Yeah.
And the monocle then for William Butler Yeats.
You see, and you're associating them people there who would be modernist, people who think George Bernard Shaw, Yeats and them are modern era. And when you think of Oscar Wilde, you think of way back.
Yeah.
But he wasn't that far back.
Yeah, Victorian time,
Yeah.
He really came to fame. He was, first of all, he was editor of Woman's Own magazine. He then toyed with the idea of becoming a politician. Politicians, there's not a single person in the House of Commons worth painting, though perhaps a few could do with a little whitewashing.
Yeah.
He's the most quoted man in history, himself and Shakespeare. He wrote his first play then, Lady Windermere's Fan, his first comedy. He really started to become famous then. He had gone on
Had he a
lecture
literary
tour.
background?
His father, Sir William Wilde, he was knighted by Queen Victoria. They lived in number 1 Merrion Square, and his statue opposite the house where he lived from 1855 to 1878 is always probably the most visited statue in Ireland. You'd see the busloads of tours opposite the National Gallery there. And his mother was a brilliant woman. They were quite an extraordinary family.
Who was she? What's her roots?
Jane Francesca Wilde, quite a fearsome woman, and she held all these salons in the house. And I was invited Culture Night 2 years ago to be guest speaker in the house.
Excellent.
Which was a very proud moment for me. And Oscar would have learnt a lot from the conversations that were going on there. But she picked the name Speranza, which is an Italian name, and Speranza means hope, and hope was for the Irish nation.
Yeah.
Just after the famine, like they'd 10 servants, but they'd taken people in after the famine. They were extremely kind people.
Yeah.
And as I said, his dad, Sir William Wilde, he had founded the Eye and Ear Hospital in Dublin.
Still going
poor
today,
people.
is it?
Yeah, absolutely. They still use his methods today. He wrote many books. He was then based in Cong, the beautiful Cong in Mayo, where Ashford Castle is. As I say, where I've performed there. Did pre-dinner talks and after dinner down there, mainly for American tourists. Thank God it went down very well. And then U2 rehearsed, which I think was their best album, Actung Baby, in the house down there, which was Sir William. They bought it, or The Edge from U2 bought that house. And apparently when I was there, the servant squad was there, and Bono likes to write, and Bono whatever, lying down to get inspiration with his right. That's what I heard anyway.
Yeah. Good man, Bono.
Yeah, exactly. And they may
no bandwagon jumping there, then. That's unusual.
Yeah. Then of course there was Dorian Gray, which
all
was
these famous stories.
Yeah. Then The Importance of Being Earnest, which was his classic comedy for the time.
Yeah.
He was really poking fun at Victorian society, but in a very humoursome way. And there's no doubt he was probably the greatest comic playwright in the history of literature.
Without doubt. And vilified for his sexuality.
Yeah.
What would Oscar Wilde think of Ireland today?
Really good question you've put to me there. You know, he was the
And
statue.
we're in an open society that you and I,
Yeah,
we're not that young, but we're not that old, but not that
Yeah.
long ago.
yeah. He went to jail for being homosexual.
What?
He
You know,
got
it's-
2 years hard labour for being a homosexual, and the judge said at the time it was he wished he could have, you know, sentenced him to a longer, but the law didn't allow him. In fact, the judge himself was homosexual. It was very hypocritical society. And then, of course, prison.
Hence the law is an ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
You know, it's so wrong because
yeah.
the fantastic modern society we live in, it's not completely au fait at the moment, but it's getting there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Ireland has turned on its head.
Yeah, like he married Constance Wilde. She was a brilliant, loyal wife to him. They created a beautiful home. William Butler Yeats stayed there as a student. Saw Oscar as being very happy with his wife. He had 2 boys, Cyril and Vivian. Very sad then what happened to Constance. She had no idea. He then fell in love with a much younger man, 22-year-old Lord Alfred Douglas,
Yeah.
or Bosie as they
The
call him.
Marquis,
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
The Marquis of Queensberry's son, who was the creator of the rules of boxing. But in Dublin, you hear the term Bowsy.
the whole thing is like a sitcom, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
If you were going to sit down and write this story, you'd say, "Oh, it's a bit too far-fetched,"
Yeah.
but it's not. It's all true.
And even afterwards, when he died, I've been in the room now where he died. It's a hotel in Saint-Germain in Paris. It's called El Hotel now, and the Rolling Stones have stayed there. And I've been in the room, and you can see his bill on the wall, where he couldn't pay his bill. He had to rely on the charity of friends. And
How did that happen, Patrick? Here you have the most successful writer, poet, author
yeah, most
everything
famous man in the world.
in the world.
At the time, yeah. And it went from there to taking the Marquis of Queensberry to court, which was a mistake. He had left a calling card in Oscar's club, stayed to Oscar Wilde posing as a sodomite. Bosie, his son, had a hatred for his father. He said, "Oscar, you have him now. You have him." Take him to
Bowsy, yeah.
court.
That's where
the bows where the Dubliners use, he's a bloody Bowsy,
Bowsy,
that
yeah.
fella. That's where that came from. And took him to court. Shaw pleaded with him not to. The case was dropped. Sir
George
Edward-
Bernard Shaw.
Yeah,
So all these people are characters in this.
yeah. George Bernard Shaw said that Oscar Wilde, all his work was due to the influence of Oscar Wilde. They were very influenced by him. So they had a boat ready for him. There was no extradition in those days. So this would have been 1897 to go to Calais. But Oscar's mother said, "Don't, you stand up and you fight the English." And Oscar said, "My fight is against English hypocrisy." Trial was Edward Carson was the prosecutor.
From Belfast.
Yeah, going
The man
against-
outside Stormont.
They were buddies.
This man?
Yes, they were buddies in Trinity College. So, as you said, the story, it just keeps developing and it goes on. And he said when he heard Edward Carson would be prosecuting, he said, "Oh, we'll perform his duties with all the bitterness of an old friend." Carson later said he regretted taking that case on. But anyway, it was Edward Carson then. Second trial collapsed. Marquis of Queensberry had all these rent boys lined up because he was introduced to male brothels by Bowsy, as I call him.
Yeah.
And this was all new to Oscar. He described it as like feasting with panthers. So he ended up, the second trial, they couldn't reach a verdict, so it was a third trial. So I guess it's tragedy in 3 acts. And then he was found guilty of gross indecency and sentenced to 2 years hard labour.
In Reading.
Yeah, he wrote then after that the Ballad of Reading Jail, which was his last piece of writing. He signed at C33, which was his prison number, but everybody knew.
How
it
old was he at this
Oscar.
stage?
He would have been. He was born in 1854, and he died in 1900. So 1897, 98. So he was 44
Yeah.
at this age. He wrote that. It was his last piece of writing. Never got to see his children again. Stripped of literally everything. Taken to the bankruptcy court while he was in jail. People spat at him, laughed at him at the train station.
This is the most famous man in the world.
Was, yeah. and went from that. But he was an extremely kind man, as I said earlier in the interview, where you asked me about his parents, and his dad found the eye and ear hospital. He was extremely kind. He was very upset about a little girl. Now, I'm a dad. I'm separated, but I have an 8-year-old daughter. And there was a little girl. She was aged about 5 or 6, and she was wailing in her cell. And he was very upset by this. So he started a campaign of 2 very long letters he sent to the Daily Chronicle, and to have children pardoned from going to jail. Which now he was pursuing.
Why was she in jail?
For maybe robbing a piece of bread or something like that.
Something very trivial.
And these unintelligent, foolish magistrates, just because they're educated doesn't mean they're intelligent people. But and they, of course, send a child, that'll put manners on them and all this, which of course was wrong. And he had those laws changed. Now remember, he was persona non grata at that stage, but he did. And Balderredding Jail was about the cruelty of prison life and about a man who'd killed his wife in a crime of passion. He did not wear his scarlet coat, for blood and wine are red, and blood and wine were on his hands when they found him with the dead, the poor dead woman whom he loved and murdered in her bed. Now it goes on, but once read, never forgotten.
Fantastic. It's an incredible story, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like most modern day icons, it was after his passing, after his death, he became this.
It all exploded again. You just couldn't forget. He wrote a very long letter in prison called De Profundis, which it's a Greek word. It comes from the depth of the soul.
So they didn't break his spirit?
No, they thought they would, but they didn't. He fell in prison and got an ear infection, and that's what eventually killed him on the treadmill. But he wrote De Profundis, and it was about his downfall, what happened to falling in love with a man who'd had this hatred for his father, and he was the scapegoat, really. And it explains downfall. But he wrote 2 copies because he said if one was given to Bosie, he'd throw it into the fire, which he did. But he had another copy which he gave to a very loyal friend of his called Robert Ross. And it was given to the British Museum, but he left strict instructions for it not to be published until 50 years after his death.
Brilliant.
And it explains his downfall. He talks about Jesus Christ. Some people called him a Christ-like figure. Winston Churchill always wanted to meet him. Prince of Wales said not to have met Oscar Wilde was not to be known. Nelson Mandela said what kept him going in prison was the Oscar Wilde quote, "We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars." Very famous one, of course.
And all his quotes, all the Oscar Wilde, you get them. There's nothing. There's nothing clever that you don't have to think. You know what I mean? It's not arty-farty. It's this is what it is.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to take it in a bit, let it sink in. But I produced for the centenary of his death, which was in 1900. The book there, I gave you the world's favourite 100 quotes. And then I did the book on his life. But the quotes are all taken from Dorian Gray to a lot of his plays. And actresses love Oscar Wilde because he wrote great parts for women actresses, which they find it difficult to get now. And all about gossip and all that, and beautiful gowns and very theatrical, of course.
Very, very.
You know. Yeah.
But Patrick, that brings us to you now.
Right.
And you're doing.
I like to do all the talking myself.
Yeah.
It's one of my greatest pleasures.
Yeah.
I often have long conversations all by myself, and sometimes I am so clever I don't understand a single word of what I've been saying. But I can't wait for tomorrow, really.
Yeah. You're doing a couple of shows now.
Yeah, I'm doing in Kells Theatre. John Grant, he runs a lovely.
Now, if you want to just look into the camera,
Okay.
there, makes it.
John Grant in the Kells Theatre at 8 p.m. on Saturday, the 1st of November. That's The Life of Oscar Wilde. Admission is €10. I've the book, DVD of his life. It's reduced to €5 on the night as well. Then in Ballyshannon, as I said, Noel Cunningham from TV3 very kindly is giving up some of his time to introduce the show. That'll be a gala Victorian evening. We have a surprise actress playing Oscar Wilde's wife that night as well, explaining her downfall. And that's on the website anyway, which is the Abbey Theatre, or the Abbey Centre, I should say, in Ballyshannon, Saturday, 29th of November at 8 p.m.
What's your website?
It's Facebook Oscar Wilde Genius, so it's Oscar Wilde with the E. Facebook, Oscar Wilde Genius, and you'll see events going up all the time on that anyway.
Well, we'll keep an eye out for that. But we're going to do an in-depth with Patrick at a later date. Now, time has gone against us because we want to talk on and want to do a really special on this, right? I'm going to invite you back in again.
Okay.
But finally, we had a few people contact us now. Oscar Wilde's family now.
Oscar, very good question.
2014.
All right. Oscar Wilde's family now. There was 2 boys, Cyril and Vivian. They didn't get to see each other for about a year after. They fought in the First World War, which is very appropriate, 2014. And very sadly, the younger of the sons, Cyril, was killed by a sniper. But Vivian was only 100 yards away from him, although he didn't know it was his
The
brother.
story continues.
It never ends. They went up before that. The royal family in Monaco looked after the 2 little boys for a while. They had to go to rented rooms. So that's to answer that question. So that was a good question.
Are there relatives alive today?
Yes, his grandson, who I've been in touch with on and off, haven't been in touch with for a while, called Vivian Holland. They changed the name to Holland because of the scandal. And he now lives in France.
Right. As a Frenchman, is Englishman, Irishman?
Oh, he's English. He's
Yeah.
a journalist, and he's produced the letters of Oscar Wilde and April Funds, but he's living in France now, Merlin, Holland.
Patrick's been
Grandson.
absolutely. I knew it would be. Absolutely fascinating.
Thanks for
Now, I'm
having
going to
me.
get you to leave us with a quote. I'm going to
Okay.
get you to a book. But here is the book. You can see it there. Oscar Wilde. The world's favourite 100 quotes. You will not put this book down.
Right, there's some bookmarks there as well.
Bookmarks,
for
you know. And if you go to Patrick's Facebook page, and
Oscar Wilde Genius.
Oscar Wilde Genius. So if you go to the Oscar Wilde Genius, and you'll see how to contact Patrick, how to get copies of the book, copies of the DVD, the whole lot.
They're in Trinity College, the National Gallery,
Yeah.
the National Museum.
You really are a world.
Well, I'm trying
No,
anyway.
you're succeeding. It's not
Well,
trying.
you have to keep trying anyway. I don't know about
Oscar will be very
succeeding, but
proud. Can you
thank
leave
you
us with a
very
quote?
much.
Can you quote something for us into the
Um,
camera there?
An Oscar quote. He said on his deathbed, I am fighting a duel to the death with the wallpaper. One or the other of us has to go.
And so do we. Patrick Walsh, Oscar Wilde. Watch out, because we're gonna bring this show to Cavan Town as well, because I'd love to see it.
Great.
Patrick, thanks very much.
Thanks
for
very
coming
much,
in.
Paul.
Absolute
Appreciate you
pleasure,
having me in.
gentlemen. I know
Thank
you would
you.
be. And that's all from the Green Room for this week. Many thanks to Dave for helping us out this evening, and we'll be back with you again next week. Oscar,
Thank you very much.
that's what I'm going to call you from now on.